Imagine being on a boat in the middle of the ocean and you're trying to find the nearest piece of land. Finally, you see something in the distance hope. As you approach, something seems off about the giant heap of land, but you realize too late. You're surrounded by plastic and trash all around you, with no escape. According to the Natural History Museum, there are about 4.8 to 12.7 million tons of plastic entering the oceans each year. That is a lot to imagine. And it is our fault that the oceans are being polluted as we keep on having to use plastic for one time uses, and we are the ones affecting the environment. I've done research the past couple of years focusing on how much trash is being dumped into the ocean on a yearly basis. This is important to me because the wildlife in the ocean is being affected because of our doing. There is too much plastic being dumped into the ocean, and it will not stop because of big corporations that are taking shortcuts to get rid of plastic. To save a lot more money, it affects us because we also live on this planet. And whatever we dump into the ocean will eventually come right back to us. I suggest finding different alternatives for plastic rather than just throwing it away after a single use. There is so much plastic in the ocean. According to Julia Jacobo, an author who wrote World Ocean Day 2019, ocean plastics problem isn't going away, but here's what you can do to help, said that every year 8 million metric tons of plastic enter the ocean, according to a 2016 study published by the World Economic Forum. This equates to a garbage truck full of plastic being dumped into the ocean every minute. That's a lot to imagine. And this study was done in 2016, so imagine how much the number has grown. Imagine 8 million tons of plastic being dumped onto your home. I'm pretty sure that much would fill up an entire city. Now that you know how much plastic is being dumped into the oceans, I will tell you how badly it affects the environment. Plastic is extremely harmful towards all living things. According to Amrith, who works at a university called Göteborg University, says that even though plastic is beneficial for everyone, still has a great, enormous negative effect on the environment. The impacts of plastics on marine ecosystems range from direct health effects in marine organisms due to indigestion or entanglement in litter and fishing gear, to hitchhiking of organisms, also including invasive species and pathogens. Now that you know about how harmful plastic is, let me tell you about microplastic. Microplastic is plastic that is smaller than 5 milliliters and is extremely harmful to the food chain and the environment. According to Sarah Cole-Morgan, a freelance writer based in Chicago, Illinois, who interviewed Cara Lavender Law, a study co-author and research professor at Sea Education Association, SEA for short, Law said that when plastic enters the ocean, it breaks down into tiny pieces called microplastics. If a few patches of tiny floating plastics doesn't sound that bad to you, consider this. Plastics contain additives and toxins. Law says that they're floating into the ocean, microplastics are sticky and attract other contaminants like DDT. While scientists are trying to determine the extent to which this happens, Law said these toxin-filled plastic pieces, when eaten by fish, can move up the food chain and affect the humans. Now that you know how bad plastic is for the environment, I'll talk to you about a solution. In a broadcast published by the National Public Radio Incorporated, with the title labeled Weekend, All Things Considered, one of the two broadcasters by the name of Slat explains how to get rid of a lot of plastic from the ocean. He said, the first test will actually begin in June and will be deployed. I envision an extremely long work of floating barriers. They're like currents floating in the ocean which are attached to a seabed. So what happens is that the current comes and the plastic gets pushed towards these barriers. And because it's in a V shape, the plastic gets pushed down to the center. And once right in the center, the plastic will be so dense you can hardly see the water. And that's a spot where you can efficiently extract it from the seawater and store it before shipping it to land for recycling. Slat clearly explains a way to get rid of the bulk amount of plastic in the ocean. In conclusion, it is sad how much plastic there is still in the ocean to this day. Encourage recycling companies to clean up the oceans with the idea of bringing the most of the plastic and trying to pick it up for recycling. I encourage you to find ways to reuse your plastics instead of throwing them out to lessen the amount of plastic that goes into the ocean every year. You can make a difference, so why shouldn't you?